We brought in a business partner of ours, as you can tell from the program here. A lot of you have been asking about hiring and interviews. How do we recruit the right people? How do we make sure that we have a good process for bringing people on? You know, how do I navigate this thing? How do I go from a solopreneur to hiring my first employee? You know, how do I continue to hire the right people when I have a team of 50 and they're rolling in and out of the door every 30 days? Like, what do I need to look for? What questions do I need to ask? So, you know, we have kind of been looking for a partner in this area for a while. We finally found the guy that we wanted to team up with. He is a published author. He wrote a best-selling book called The Naked Interview. He's been featured in Huffington Post, Fox News, Business Insider, every major publication you can imagine for his expertise on hiring. And he works with some of the largest companies in the world, Fortune 50 companies, Fortune 100 companies, on how they can be more effective in the hiring process. Let's give it up for David Lee Jensen.
Yeah.
Good to
Thanks,
see you,
Jared. Good to see you, man. Right. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Has it been a good weekend? Oh, I know you. Oh, and Charlie. Oh, boy. Quite a crowd here. So, is everybody having an absolute unbelievable day? Has this whole weekend been packed full of content? I would expect nothing less from that man right there. Grant Cardone, man. Everybody give it up for him, right? Come on. Okay, good. They're just getting this hooked up. Is it ready to go?
Clicker.
Beautiful.
Okay, perfect.
All right. How many people have employees? How many people kind of hate having employees? How many people love having employees? It's kind of one of those push-pulls, right? So if you could get better people hired, then you wouldn't hate it as much, right? Okay, good. So I'm going to give you a few tips on hiring the right person the first time and every time. Does that sound good? Yeah. And all of this content's available on Cardone University and Cardone On Demand, thanks to that man right there. Okay? Sound good? All right, good.
Sorry, I didn't realize I had my mic on still.
So my whole story starts with a 911 call because I didn't know how to choose the right people. It started with fear. It started with uncertainty. It started with looking over my shoulder everywhere I went and not knowing how to choose the right people. That led into bad relationships. That led into bad business decisions, bad business partners, taken to the cleaners by business partners, employees who want to, slack off or worse, sue you. How many people have been in that type of situation in any area of their life? You chose the wrong person to be around, right? It's hard to admit, but it's true. We do that a lot. And that's where my whole story started. Now, yes, I'm a best-selling author. I run a company called The Hiring Academy. I've done Fortune 50 consulting with some amazing, amazing people. And it all started with this book, The Naked Interview, Hiring Without Regret, which will teach you, even you, how to hire the right people. So I told Grant today, because we're on the platform, that I just give a couple of the bullet points, a couple of the things that are the most important to you so that you can take them away, use them immediately, and then, of course, you'll go log on your platform and look at the rest. Sound good? Yeah. Good. How many people are already on Cardone University? Okay, good. Anybody who doesn't have their hand up? Come on, man. All right, so Hiring Academy, we've just rolled out into 6 McDonald's locations. We're about to roll into 660 more, okay? We've got international clients, and that's why Grant Cardone came and said, I went to him and said, Grant, you got to check this out, right? And that's why it's on that platform, because if you've got the best sales platform, what's the one thing that could mess up the best sales training in the whole wide world? That's right, bad people, right? Because I can teach this guy over and over and over and over every trick in the trade, but just like they said, not only are you going to forget it in a week, but if you're not a great guy in the first place, you're going to take your talents elsewhere, or you're not going to apply it when somebody walks in the door, right? So that's why people are so vital. It's not just the cost of a bad hire. It's the fact that, oh, look at this guy. He's got my money. All right, so now I'm living the life of my dreams. I started with 3 different companies. When I was younger, I worked as a talent agent, then I worked as a business consultant, then I ran a merchant services company, which we grew to over $2.5 billion. The problem was that was my 3 strikes. I worked my ass off at every single one of those, and I ended up with owning nothing, right? So I had to go out and get my own game. I had to start something. And what I realized was that I had learned something. This isn't advancing. There we go. I learned a lot. What I learned was that I had created nearly 100% retention. In my last company, we went from 20 employees to 150 employees. And in the last 3 years I was there, we only lost 2 people. One, because he got into the police academy, which was his lifelong dream. And the other, because his wife got hired at Microsoft, so they decided to move to Seattle and go up there. Can't blame him, right? But then I would talk to my friends and my associates, my business partners, and all these people, and they're like, dude, that's unheard of. How'd you do that? How do you create that type of leadership? How do you create that type of environment and culture? And I realized that it wasn't just what we were doing with the games we were playing and the energy and the training, but it was also the fact that we picked the right people first. We wouldn't bring anybody into our house, our home. You spend more time at work than you do at home, right? Okay, that's unfortunate. You should actually grow your business so that you can spend some time outside of it as well, right? But that is the truth. So if I meet this guy right now, and he seems impressive, and I want to hire him, would I give him the key to my front door? There's no way. But you really are, right? You're bringing him into your workplace. You're bringing him into the place that makes you that money. That takes you out of that millionaire middle class and into the multimillionaire and beyond. But I'm going to trust this guy with the key to the front door? You got to make sure that he's the right guy. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So by creating that retention, what we did, this is just not happening. I talked to these guys, they said, I hate hiring, even Grant's, right? First time I told him about the book, told him about the hiring system, Grant goes, oh man, I hate hiring. I don't even want to read the book, right? It's just true. And that's understood. He created a friggin' reality TV show, whatever it takes, to make sure that he got the right person, right? Dude, I got to give you props for that, right? That's it. If I could do that every day, that's the way I would do it. You put somebody through the reggers. Okay, good. So the cost of a bad hire should be known before you start any venture. How many people want to venture a guess on the cost of a bad hire? Anybody? Yeah? Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, now $105,000. So that's about spot on, sir.
From a bad hire.
150 grand in 2 months. Bad hire, right? So, of course, our government always calls it under, so they say it's $5,000 to $25,000 for a bad hire, right? But we know to 10x that instantaneously, right? And the problem is that you have to be able to consider the costs of bad hires. It's not just the fact that he didn't make that sale that you needed him to close, but it's the interviewing time, the training costs, the potential of the customer problems that you're going to have, right? Who's the most important person in your business when somebody walks into a retail location or a doctor's office or a chiropractor or whatever? Who's the most important person? That's right, the receptionist, right? So one receptionist is rude to somebody who comes in. Now that spreads around. Now you've lost tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in business, right? I've been to a great restaurant that you love the food, it's unbelievable, and then the waiter's a complete jerk. That's a bad hire, right? And that's going to affect the reputation of your company. So the dream then becomes the nightmare. I'm sorry to have to show that. Okay, good. So the question is, where do you start? Everyone says, oh, well, I've got this one guy who's terrific, right? I wish I could clone you. How many people have said that, right? Oh, yeah, I wish I could clone you, right? And you can't. And that's the problem. And then you're always looking for that same person. I need another Jared. I need another Jared. I got to get another Jared, right? He's my man. I wish I could clone you, right? But just like Grant said a couple of minutes ago, every single person's got a different personality, a different work ethic, a different, set of goals and purposes and abilities. And so you have to foster those through your interviewing process. All right. So that takes hard work. Why? Because that makes the money in your business. And your culture, the people you choose will change the trajectory of your business. Could you agree with that? Okay, good. And that's actually, the people you choose change the trajectory of your life. Okay? I've heard Grant talk many times about the 5 people closest to you. If he had a talk with each one of them, he could tell everything about you. Does that make sense? So do that in your business as well. Make sure those people are forwarding your culture, your dreams, your desires, and that it aligns with their own. Does that make sense? All right. So let's go through real quick. I'm going to give you 3 of the 10 truths. Okay, just 3. The rest are all on the platform. Okay, hiring truth 1. Be diligent, not desperate. How many people know that the first problem of hiring is the fact that you need somebody right now? You need somebody yesterday, right? She's going, uh-huh. So the first person who walks through the door in a nice suit with a big smile, what happens? They're hired. That's right. Big, huge mistake, right? Huge mistake. Because they come in that door, and it's like a first date, right? You go on that first date, everything's going to be perfect. He brings flowers, he pulls out your chair for you, he does everything, you know. And at the end of that date, maybe you do want to go home and, you know, whatever. But you wouldn't ask her to marry you, would you? So why would you do that with somebody who's going to come in and build your company to multi-million dollars? Any integral part of your company. You can't just hire them on the spot. You got to bring them back. So be diligent, not desperate, means to really go that extra distance, to really go through a number of candidates. Don't ever hire the first person who walks through the door. Bring him back, bring him back, bring him back. Okay? Can you agree to that? It's hard, isn't it? But you got to agree to that. You got to know that you can't decide out of desperation. All right, phone screening. You should hear them smile. So the first thing on this is phone screening. You put up a job, you get it on Craigslist, you get it on Monster, you get it on Glassdoor, you get it on any of these, and what's the first thing that happens? You get all these resumes, right? You get a pile of resumes. It's a lie that the economy's failing. It's a lie that there aren't people out there to hire, right? I'm sure you've heard that from Uncle G, and you've heard that from everybody else in the media, the exact opposite. Oh yeah, you know, employment's 100%, the economy's tanking. It's just not true. All you got to do is post a job on Craigslist, and I guarantee you the day after you're going to be inundated with resumes. And the problem is there's a bunch of liars out there. There's a bunch of those same guys who walk in with the suit and tie and the big smile, and that you're going to hire right away like that. You can't do that. So the first thing to do is just fire through all those resumes. Look for the basic qualifications you're looking for, right? If you're looking for somebody who's doing accounting, then make sure they've got that on there. Separate those piles out, throw the others in the trash, right? Then go through and look for other skills you're looking for. Throw the rest in the trash. Then make a couple phone calls. Get these guys on the phone and say, hello. How much more do you need to say on that phone call? Nothing. Why? Because when they pick up that phone, you hear in the background the kids whining, the dogs barking, and then you hear them turn and go, hey, pipe down! Knock it off! They get hired? No, they don't even get an interview, right? And guess how much time and money you just saved by not even bringing them into your workplace? You see? And when you talk to them, how many people can tell when somebody's smiling on the other side of the phone? Right? Okay, good. So that's what you do. You call them, you ask them a couple basic questions, and you hear if they're smiling. Because if they're not smiling, if they don't know where you're calling from, if they don't know anything about your company or what the job opportunity is, then they don't really care about getting that job. So you got to ask them those questions. You got to dig down and make sure that they're worth even bringing in the first place. Okay, that's just the very first step. Be diligent about the process of going through the applications. Be diligent about that first phone call, because that's going to save you tons of time. Make sense? All right, good. Truth 3. Testing tells the true tale. You know, one of the great things they've just added to Cardone University is the DISC profile assessment. What's to say that that isn't part of the interview process? Just throw the guy through a DISC. Now you know exactly whether he's an administrative type, or he's a sales type, or he's a, you know, a jerk type. That is a type, okay? Instantly you know that. Now you weed him out. Throw that guy in the garbage. You've not spent a dime on him or her. You've not even had to bring them into the office because you can email them a test. So a phone call and an email, how much time did that just save you? You see? And what's better yet is you can have your best guy in the front line go through the resumes, make those phone calls, and it saved you all of your own personal time. You see? Just delegate that. All right. I'm going to give you another one here. Yeah?
What's the difference between this task and any of the other responsibilities?
Great question. And this is exactly where we're going to stop because I was waiting for that moment. Good. All right. Because your questions are important. How many people have questions? Awesome. Okay, good. So, testing. Testing doesn't have to just be the DISC profile. It doesn't have to be a personality test. It doesn't have to be anything like that. What you could do is you could bring them in and give them a scenario in accounting that you need something sorted out, have them try it out, have them make it happen, right? I know that, in a sales company, you can just bring the guy in, sit him down and say, hey, make a sale, right? And you can ask them questions that are interesting and outside the box, because every single person, that's what I hate about personnel agencies and headhunters, right? Because the guy comes in and he's inside the box. He's there and he says, I want a career, not just a job. Right? How many people have heard that before? I want a career, not just a job. Why? Because they're trained to do that. That's how they walk into your workplace. They're all ready to go. Anything you can ask them, they got an answer for. So ask them something like this. Young lady, let me ask you, if you were to liken your last job to a sport, what sport would it be and what position did you play? I want a career, not just a job. Right? I hate sports. Now see, there's a great answer. But you see, now I can either let you go because, what are you, crazy? Or I can say, great, pick some other activity. Or if you're really wanting this job, you're going to say, look, I'm not really into sports, but I know a little bit about baseball, so I guess it's kind of that. Or you're going to get creative, and now what's happening? Now I'm having a conversation with her, right? Now that dialogue's going. Now there's something of value out of that interview. But if you're just asking them, why'd you leave your last job? That's a lie. Why do you want to work here? Another lie. They're just going to continue to lie to you. But when you ask them a question outside the box, now they've got to start thinking. And guess what? What happens when your customer asks them a question outside the box? What happens when your customer says something that they don't know how to answer? Are they going to react with, I hate sports? What kind of question is that? Or are they going to say, I'm actually not really sure about that. I'm going to find out for you. Would that, finish closing the deal for you if I got you that answer? It would? Perfect. That's pretty important, right? Okay, good. All right, next question. Sir.
When it comes to hiring, being I've had my own business now for 6 years, and I was always told, get an HR department, allow them to handle recruiting, blah, 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 blah. So I did that, and I found out real quick that the director of HR that I hired knew no more about hiring than I did. So, and I've actually heard Grant say, you let your HR department hire for you, your company, and so on.
Absolutely.
So I'm a firm believer in that. Now, we are, so there's myself.
Let me say one thing on that real quick, just because here's the thing, right? If Mary's the best accountant in the world, right? And she sits back there and she takes care of the books and she makes sure the lowest tax bracket is paid and this and that and the other or whatever. Do you want her to interview Dave Robars when he comes for a sales interview? Because what's going to happen? She's going to be like, wow, he's like just too loud and he's just too magnanimous and we could never have him here in the workplace, right? And vice versa, if he sits down to interview her coming for a job, he's going to be like, oh, she's quiet as a mouse. She couldn't talk to somebody even over the phone, this and that and the other, right? They have different strengths and weaknesses. So use your strongest people in the area where that person's going to come. And some people go, oh, well, that invites competition. Well, isn't that the way it should be? Right? Sales guy wants a challenge. You got some skills. Come on, join our team. We'll see who gets there. Right? Now they're hungry. Now they're going to keep going and going and going in that area. The same with the accountant, because she's going to go into that area and she's going to respect and admire the administrative type who interviewed her. And guess what? Now when she comes in and she's got a problem or a question or whatever, she's going to go ask her, not go ask Dave. And make a huge difference in your company because that's her specialty skill, right? That answer it? Yeah. Okay, good. Sir.
All right, millennials in the room, don't clown me, but
Uh-oh.
so how do you find millennials that want to hustle and make money?
You know, all right. What's that?
The answer to my problems will be half solved. Find the right millennials, dude.
Yeah.
Stop isolating the millennials. Think of them as people.
Totally. And I was like, I was looking for Grant to go, can I light up one of your audience? No, I'm kidding. But here's the deal, right? It's another lie. Right? Just say it with me. It's a lie. Right? What is it? It's a lie. It really is. And some of you are quiet because you've had experience with them. Well, you've just had experience with crappy people. Okay? How many people married the first girl they ever dated? Right? Hats off to you, brother. There's a whole world out there. Anyways, all right. Millennial. What'd you say, Grant? Oh. So millennials is just another lie, like the broke economy, right? It's just a lie. Like, get rid of that. You know where you're hearing that? You're hearing that in the media, right? Over and over and over. Oh, the millennials, they don't want to work hard, da-da-da. Dude, in 1980, there were lots of kids who didn't want to work hard. I was one of them, right? That just happens. So get over it. Realize it's just how many people you're going to see. You get them in there, right? Here's the thing. They also, as a generality, they have a new skill set. You know what? They know how to work the internet. They know how to work multimedia marketing. They know how to make you a lot more money. So get over the consideration of them being a millennial. Yeah. Give it up for millennials! Woo! See, now he's cheering for you. How many people would go to work for him? Oh. Know your audience, brother. Know your audience. Okay. You know what? We're no longer defining it because we don't care. All we want is somebody who's going to care about our values, care about our future, care about their values, care about their future. Put those two together and grow your company so big and so fast that that's all that matters, right? Because who's got their money? You've got their money, right? Your customer has their money. So you guys get together and you create that purpose. Doesn't matter what generation they were born in. Sir?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. I got about 35 sales reps. That's about 95% of my numbers. They're all sales.
There you go.
It's possible. It's just, I guess, it depends on the leadership approach that goes in. But yeah, they're all millennials.
People are people, man. Doesn't matter when you were born, when you lived, what you did. People are people, right? Okay, sir. We talked a little bit about this last night, didn't we? Okay, so how many people own temp to hire businesses or hiring companies or headhunters or anything? Okay, good. So, I'll wait for you outside if it has to happen, but I hate headhunters. And here's the only... Okay, good. Here's why, right? I worked for Robert Half International, and I was like shocked, right? They are the worst, even though they're the biggest.
They're half.
They're half. That's right. Because here's the thing, right? They make your job easy. No, they don't, right? They work in a stock commodity, which is people. They're average people, right? Because how many of us would go to a headhunter to find us a job? Zero. Why? Because we're hustlers. So what are you going to get from them? Are you going to get hustlers? No. You're going to get average people who had to go to someone else to help them find a job. That's strike one. Strike two is the fact that you're going to pay them like 30% of their first year's salary to bring that average person onto your team. So it's going to cost you even more. Strike 3 is in 90 days, where's that person end up? Oh, they're still in your office on 90 days because that's the day you pay the bill to Robert Half. Guess what happens on 91 days? Gone. Right? And then guess what happens for Robert Half? They get you back as a client because you want another average person to replace that average person that just left after 91 days. So they make double. And then guess what happens? Then you, that same 90-day average Joe, goes to get another job through Robert Half. So now Robert Half makes money on him. They got the best scam in the universe. Does that answer your question? All right. You had a question. No, you had a question. Me too. So you did a copyright and trademark infringement on Mr. Grant Cardone?
We just said we're looking for an obsessed person, not an average person obsessed with these things. Any insight on using an advertising process instead of positioning and filter and recommendation?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So he just basically said, look, we got sick and tired of the resume process, the Craigslist process, the average people process, and so we posted something saying, hey, we want somebody obsessed, not average, right? And that's a great approach. I always say when people ask me about job ads, I'm like, tell them it's going to be hard work, it's going to be low pay, they're going to work, more than anybody in the whole wide world, and just if they're good enough, then they're going to succeed. Because that's the guy who answers that ad, the guy who comes in and says, I want that job, that's the guy who will lay down in front of a train for you. And he's not going to just be a millionaire, he's going to be a multimillionaire. He's going to grow your company the way that you would grow your company and expand you beyond your wildest dreams. But somebody who resists that, somebody who says, oh, you were just kidding about this ad, right? Oh, no. Just close the door and let it hit him in the back of the head.
So let me paint you the scenario. So weekly, what we do is we have an open house.
Yeah.
So we're constantly recruiting.
Yeah.
So on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock, we have folks come in for any position.
What type of business? Okay.
So
So you have a cattle call, basically.
cattle call, right? Cattle call. And what I do is I have the folks come in and I have each one of them perform or go over a process called form, family application declaration material.
Okay.
So I want to hear them speak about themselves.
Yeah.
But I make it very clear that it's just every position within the company is a sales position.
That's my laptop.
What
Yeah.
canned questions or questions could I ask those folks while they're in there and I have their attention to kind of filter them out a little bit better?
I would ask them, like I said, creative questions, right? And digging deep questions. Here's the other thing, right? A lot of times you go in an interview and you go, why'd you leave your last job? And they go, oh, well, I didn't get along with my supervisor, this and that and the other. And then you move to the next question, right? That's a big problem because you didn't pull that string. You didn't find out what's underneath that, right? And then how many people check references when they hire somebody? Oh, that's a big flunk. Think about it, right? Where'd that guy come from? He had some other job prior to coming to work for you, and he left that job, which means he did something at that job that made him leave that job. You see? It's not rocket science. And so if you pull, find out from calling on a reference, you're going to find out he burned down the break room. And you just hired him, and now he's got a severance package. You lose, right? And some people say, I know the question coming. I assume it's the same question coming that usually always comes. Oh, no, you have a separate one, right? Which is, how many people think that when you call on a reference, all they're allowed to tell you is what dates he worked there, and that's pretty much it, right? Okay, most people think that that's the truth, but it's not the truth. It's actually the fact that it's just company policy. And they say, oh, all you can say is how many dates he worked here and what he made or something like that, right? So what to do to get around that is just really simply say, hey, I'm calling about Joe. He used to work for you? Oh, yeah, I know Joe. Great. So he's coming to look for us. Could you tell me anything about him? Oh, I'm only allowed to tell you, that he worked here from this date to this date, from April to May strike one, right? And would you go to a barbecue with him? I can't answer a question like that. Wow, okay, now it's a little shaky or whatever. Look, I'm just trying to decide whether this guy is a personality that would be, rehired. Would you rehire him? Oh, definitely not. Oh, boom, you got her. You see? You just work down that line of questioning until they give you the information you want, right? Sir?
So we're in the tech space.
Yep.
There's a lot of turnover.
Yep.
Developers.
Tech-based, a lot of turnover, developers, nerds, right?
So we test them on skills, there are development skills like code and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Soft skills, not the best, but so the question is, when they come, a lot of them they want to work for Google or Facebook, and they're not open source, right? So it's really hard to compete in the space because they're good in the technical skills, but they might not want to. They're almost reaching their company, right? Because the demand is so high.
Yeah. I mean, that's just culture, right? And that's that comes up in the hiring process because you want to tell them about the culture you're building, right? Because you don't want people to come into your company just to work themselves up to a position where now they can go get a job at Google, right? So you've got to establish that from day one, right? And the way that you establish that is by creating a team atmosphere, by playing games, right? How many people have been over to Grant Cardone's phone room? The place is like a beast master, like it goes and goes and goes and goes. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of we used to play games where the entire company would go to Disneyland if we hit that next target as a company. And those targets would be completely unreal until we got the agreement of those employees that they were going to reach that target. And unreal things then happened. And so then it was easy to take the whole company to Disneyland. And guess what? You don't leave a company that whole group goes to Disneyland together. And that's barbecued with your family, or that, went and did bowling together one night and went to a comedy show the other night, right? Now you've created a family atmosphere and a group that they're going to come to you and say, I have this idea for a new code. And what's going to happen? You're not going to be like, well, you thought of that idea, well, you worked for me. No, you're going to say, hey, let's, put a little finance to that and this and that and the other, and if it goes, I'll partnership with you. Wouldn't you rather $500 million of $1 billion project than friggin' let the guy go and now makes $1 billion himself, right? Be considerate of them the same way they should be of you.
So, congratulations on doing it, Grant Cardone platform. Super excited about watching it.
That was a smart move by me too as well, wasn't it? Must admit, right? Biggest deal I closed in my life, right, Grant?
That's right.
We're in the home security business.
Yeah.
So it's all full commission, door to door, calling and hoping, pitching right. And so, in order
God bless you.
to 10x our business, the customers are out there. We just need massive amounts of people. We have probably about 100 sales reps now. We need 1,000.
Yeah.
Is there, because the recruiting world has changed so much. It used to be easy, put an ad in the paper, and you'd have 50 people show up, and it was great. Those
Yeah.
days are over. In your experience, is there any other creative ways that you've seen companies try to recruit full commission sales reps?
Yeah, I mean, and it's been done by that man, and it's been done by a couple others in this room that I've seen as well. Really push that company culture, that atmosphere, that life of being a member of your team ahead of time. So have a video on your website, place, viral content out there, put it on YouTube, put it on Facebook. Really create, so that people see that and they're like, wow, that would be a really dope place to work, right? If you create that atmosphere right from the beginning, now they're going to want to be part of your team, right? And so then every time you run something like that, you put, come join our team, you can be a part of this as well, this and that and the other, right? Okay, good. All right. We're having fun?
Everybody give it up for Dave Jensen.
Everything's on the platform. Upgrade your platform. Get the Hiring Academy. It's all in there. All the 10 truths of hiring. All sorts of checklists. All sorts of interview questions. 100 interview questions I wrote myself. It's all there for you. Thank you very much.
And I just want to show you, give it up for Dave Jensen, give it up.
Speaking of creative